Hey, it's time for Streaming Idiots. Tom Sinclair here, your Chief Idiot. Hang around. We're going to talk about how to monetize your video. That's it. Make money. Be right back. Hey, I'll tell you what, I wish I knew how to end that song gracefully, but I sure didn't. Tom Sinclair here, that streaming idiot, doing my idiot thing this afternoon, trying to stay one step ahead of you and hopefully come up with some stuff that you might be interested in. The whole idea behind Streaming Idiots is I get to make all the mistakes, so you don't have to. You can learn from my mistakes. If you've got a passion for something and you want to take it to the internet, whether it's an individual show like this or a church service or a city council meeting or a basketball game or a school play, streaming is the way to take it to the whole world. Just think about all the folks all over the world that are from your hometown or have an attachment somewhere to your hometown that might be interested in knowing what's going on a regular basis, either live or taped. There are great opportunities there today that, this is the promise of computers and the internet years and years ago, that we are living in the time of the promise. It is so exciting. I just love it. And I'm really excited about today's topic because monetizing video is like, oh, wow, if we could just figure out how to make money off of this, we could do more of it. We could get nicer equipment and better stuff. Yeah, and there's a lot of it. I mean, some of it is kind of accepted already. And cable TV has sort of paved the way for us in some of that. I mean, it's not unusual to think of a pay-per-view event. That's kind of our first level of monetization. That is, somebody wants to watch something that you're broadcasting, and they're going to pay you in order to do that. Here's an example. About a year and a half ago, I was asked to broadcast a soccer tournament. It was the semifinals and the finals of the women's, the Women's Amateur Summer League or something like that. Basically, it was a lot of college kids and rising rising college freshmen, that is high school kids, that were playing in a league. And they were playing all over the country, and they came to Pensacola, Florida, to play the semifinals and the finals. And we were asked to come in and broadcast it. The only way that, and that's an hour from here, and it would involve hiring folks, and, the only way to do it was to have it make money. And the promoters of the event said, we don't have any money to give you. It's costing us money to put this on. So if you want to do it, we'd love to have you do it, but it's going to have to pay for itself. So I said, can we do pay-per-view? And they said, oh, sure, that's fine. So we figured, I think it was maybe $9.95 per game or $14.95, and you could watch all 3 games. So and there was a consolation match on the second day too. So $9.95 you could watch 1 game. $14.95 you could watch all 4 games, but really we knew people were really going to be only interested in the games that their team was playing in. And so we put it out there, and we went and we streamed it, and I think we did pretty well. I think we made over $1,000. We covered all our costs and had some lunch money left over. And that was a great example of pay-per-view. And the key to the pay-per-view was that we had a very motivated audience that couldn't really be there. And I think, whatever our fee was, I think it was equal to the ticket price. So, it wasn't like somebody was going to be able to save by not going out there, although it was July. It was really hot. Anyway, that was a good example of pay-per-view. and who would do pay-per-view? Well, lots of folks will do pay-per-view. I know at one point Ustream, when we were doing Ustream years and years ago, Ustream would do pay-per-view, but the split wasn't very good. I think they got like 80%, we got 20%. But it didn't cost anything to stream. When we did the soccer tournament a while back, we used Dacast, D-A-C-A-S-T, Dacast.com. And the split was, I think they charged us, I don't know, 2% maybe, or maybe $1 plus 2% or something like that. I mean, it was really, really reasonable, I thought. But we were paying for the bandwidth. Ustream gave us free bandwidth in the Ustream example, but with Dacast and the pay-per-view that they have, we had to pay for our own bandwidth plus a small fee for essentially for Dacast to collect the money and give it to us. And I think they ended up, sending us a check or transferring it to our bank account. It probably took a week or so to get the money after that. But that was pay-per-view. Dacast has another service that I've never used, but I've been really interested in, called subscriptions. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do things like what I'm doing here with Streaming Idiots, and we also do another show called That VidBlaster Guy, to do a series of shows that are, a little bit more detailed, probably better prepared than these, and make them available on a subscription basis. Full disclosure, I'm an authorized VidBlaster reseller and an authorized vMix reseller, and still, working, hoping, trying to figure out the way to become a Wirecast reseller so that we can sell the big three. And so my thought was, if I'm a reseller for vMix and VidBlaster, I could put together a series of informative videos, tutorials, if you will, and give those to anybody that wanted to buy the software from me. But if you bought the software from somebody else, you could still have it, but it would cost you $9.95 for an annual subscription, something like that. And try to find a way to pick up some revenue on that. Certainly, in that particular example, I'm not hiring a crew. I'm doing all this in house, so my costs are nil, and any $9.95 that I pick up would be cream, except that that I would have to have Dacast as my monthly service. The subscription, of course, assumes that the video is loaded and maintained on their website, and you've got links to it from your website. So Dacast would host the videos and would pay me when the other folks paid me, and I think they keep a portion of the subscription, in order to process a credit card, that kind of thing. And the subscription can work lots of different ways. I think we used the subscription service one time for a weekend soccer tournament where you could either buy it by the game or you could buy a subscription for the whole weekend. I think we were charging $4.99 for the games and $25 for the whole weekend. And we sold some subscriptions for the whole weekend because people were interested in watching other kids that they knew play in the tournament as well as their own kids. So that worked out pretty well. And that's the subscription model. There's also the sponsor model, where you have a sponsor. It wouldn't be unusual, let me put it this way, for a show like this one to go to a company like Dacast and say, hey, we're buying your services, and we're talking about your services all the time and how good they are. Why don't you sponsor us? Why don't you give us something for free? Give us some streaming, give us a computer, give us a camera, whatever the vendor is that would have something of value to me that I could go to and ask for. They would sponsor the show. And so, I see Dr. Campbell's here in the chat room saying, I would pay a subscription fee to you, Charles. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. The subscription model, you can sell an annual subscription if you've if you're broadcasting a season, let's say you've got you're working with the local theater group and they've got 3 plays that they're going to put on this year, you could sell a subscription for all 3, or sell individuals. The sponsor model does require a little bit of sales expertise. You're going to have to go out and talk with people and get them to agree to sponsor you. But the nice thing is, if they're giving you something for free and you have it, then you can be, they can be your sponsor as long as you're using whatever it is. They may want it back when you're done using it. Another way is to have actually advertising. If you go to lots of sites where there's video, there's advertising in what they call a pre-roll for the first 5 to 15 or 30 seconds. There'll be an ad playing. Sometimes on YouTube you can bypass the ad after 4 or 5 seconds. Excuse me. But I find sometimes I'm kind of interested in what the ad is, and I'm willing to wait 30 seconds for my video to come up. And other times I'm not, and I'll just bypass it. But also on the same page might be display ads around the video screen, and could be ads in the course of the broadcast, whatever it were. Sports, for example, it leans itself very well to that. Obviously, ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBC have all made millions and billions of dollars by doing advertising during sporting events. In fact, what is it? The United States NFL Super Bowl has the highest ad rate of any show in the world ever. What is it, like $1 million a 30-second spot or something like that? But you don't have to charge $1 million. You can charge $14 for a 30-second spot, and if you've got 30-second spots in the course of a broadcast, that's $420 in ad revenue. Now, you have to go out and sell it, but if it's, let's say, if it's a local high school football team and they have sponsors of the team, they might include in their sponsor package for an extra $50 2 ad spots every game during the season. And you could approach that booster club that manages all that and say, I'll do those spots. We'll split the revenues with 50-50. You go sell it, and I'll go do it. And charge the sponsor $50 to put an ad together for them if they don't have one. We did a soccer tournament over in Tallahassee, Florida, several years ago. That the folks putting on the tournament had come up with sponsors. And each one of the sponsors, as part of their sponsorship, got to have their ad shown once per game. And I think there were 10 or 12 games during the course of the weekend. And there were, I think, 14 sponsors. And so we agreed to do that. We charged, I think, $5 per 30-second spot. And we also charged them $40 to put together an ad for them. And they would send us, I think, what did they send? Maybe 8 or 10 JPEGs, picture files, and a paragraph of what they wanted us to say about them. And we just put it together with, I don't know, Windows Movie Maker or something like that, and did a voiceover and had a little music playing in the background and did some commercials for them. And, they were thrilled. It was the best thing they'd ever seen. I mean, the bar was pretty low on that. They weren't a very sophisticated clientele, but that's okay. They were happy and we were happy, and it was a lot of fun. And one of the other, where the bar is a little higher now, there is a whole industry out there that is all set to feed ads to you to put in your live or recorded stream, where they want your eyeballs. They want to have a piece of your audience. Now, there's some requirements to that. They not only they want a piece of your audience, they want you to stream through their servers so that they can count the eyeballs, and they can geolocate the eyeballs and serve up a commercial to the guy in California that might be a little different to the grandma in North Carolina. And that is a fascinating field. I'm learning about that now, and I think I'm going to have some big news for that coming up after the first of the year of how that can be done, and can be not just a one-time revenue source for a live event, but can be a reoccurring revenue stream for a recorded event. That's going to be really fascinating, and the technology is there where it can happen in a lightning strike. In the time it takes lightning to strike, you can press a button, and from Fairhope, Alabama, I can send a signal to an ad server in Detroit, and the ad server in Detroit can geolocate my 500 viewers and serve up a custom ad to each one of those 500 viewers. And my button might be a 2-minute button, so they've got the ability to do 4 30-second spots in that 2 minutes. And at the end of 2 minutes, my broadcast is turned back over to me to do the rest of it. And it's gotten to the point now where I think those kind of companies they've worked with all the big guys, and now there are these little guys left like you and me that might be doing broadcasts that have a couple dozen, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, maybe a couple thousand live viewers, and maybe more than that on demand. And there is value to that to these folks to be able to serve ads out there, because if they're doing that 100,000 times all over the country to 5 million people, then they can turn around and market that to some of the major companies that want to have those eyeballs, and it can happen in the blink of an eye. It's that fast and that quick. I'm getting some good advice here in the chat room about if I want to get commercials made. He must have seen the ones I made, and they weren't very good, I have to admit. So the what I would call the ad server model is a model that is going to have some real possibilities to it. And again, the more eyeballs you have, the more value your ad has to those folks. And the eyeballs can be today eyeballs, and they can be tomorrow eyeballs. That is, they can be live or they can be for video on demand. And so hopefully I think we're going to be striking a partnership with some folks, and so we'll be able to make that available if you're interested. 2 other ways that you can monetize that I think are interesting, and in fact we've got somebody in the chat room right now that has done that. There is a studio in Raleigh, North Carolina, run by Amnon Nissan of Nissan Communications, and Amnon does a tremendous Sunday morning talk show. I'd say it's actually a tech show. It started on radio and it migrated to the internet, called Computers 2K Now. And he and a bunch of 80-year-old guys sit around talking about tech. Amnon's, of course, the youngest one in the room. And these are guys that grew up with tech. They practically invented tech. They were with IBM in the old days, and they can tell the stories. And they've kept up with tech along the way. But it's amazing to listen and watch these old guys talk about tech. And they have a young whippersnapper teenager, I think, that's on there too. But what he's done is he's taken the studio that he uses to produce this show with, and he's opened the studio up to the community to come in, and he will produce their show for them. And so if there's what was it? I think there was a psychic that would come on and have psychic readings, and Amnon produced that show. All sorts of folks that were in the sort of the alternative health field would come on, and these folks had a national or an international following. And so Amnon was able to help them increase their following by putting them on the internet. It was pretty cool stuff. And that's what I call the studio model. Another model, and this is a model that we're using, and I think pretty successfully, is the ability to sell products. We've got another show called That VidBlaster Guy, And it's pretty much a 30-minute commercial for VidBlaster. This is how great the VidBlaster product is, and oh, by the way, come buy it from me. I mean, that's the pitch. And the idea is that you can monetize the show by using the show to demonstrate the product. Now, the product has to have interest, and the subject that the product is involved in has to have interest. In this case, the streaming field, the idea of streaming video, is something that a lot of people are interested in, and so there are products out there to help you do that. And VidBlaster kind of is one of those, I would call it a core product that you have to have something like that. If you're going to do a software switching, you've got to have a software switcher at the hub. And so VidBlaster, vMix, and Wirecast are what I call the big three, and they are the ones that you kind of have to start with. And then they're cameras and capture cards and microphones and all that. But the real value, I think, is wherever you start with VidBlaster or Wirecast or vMix. Getting some hassle here in the chat room from Jerry. Oh my goodness. Some people. So we've got, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 7 different models for monetization. Depending on what you're doing, one or more of those may be good for you. That was well, I was going to call it PowerPoint because it says PPV, but it's but it's pay-per-view, the pay-per-view model, the subscription model, the sponsor model, the ad model, the ad server model, the products model, and the studio model. That's 7 different ways to monetize your video. And, not all of them are going to work for you. My wife, my studio is in my home. She doesn't want, strangers coming into her home to use a studio. But we found a way around that where we can Skype in folks and produce their shows remotely. I know Stephen Haywood with the Tech Buzz has done that very successfully, and still does. So there are lots of great ways to do that. So monetize your video. If you get or if there's another way that we haven't talked about, I'd love to know about it. Definitely love to know about it. Might try it. And would encourage you. If you've got questions about any of this, shoot me an email, tom@streamingidiots.com. I'd be happy to answer your question as best I can. And if you've got a great plan and you want to help me, and you need some help getting it off the ground, I might be able to help you, or I might at least be able to give you a couple of ideas. Or better yet, I probably will be able to give you some things not to do. Oh, by the way, don't ever do this. This won't ever work. At least it didn't for me the 6 times I tried it. So that's been Streaming Idiots for today. Thank you so much. If you're watching us live, hang around. We're going to chat a little bit after the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. We would love to have you do that. We are live every Wednesday, except on holidays or the day before holidays. Every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock London time. And, when we have a time change in the spring and the fall, it throws that off. So check with us. We'll let you know for sure. But Eastern Shore Broadcasting, that's our parent company. We want to give them a shout out. So I'm Tom Sinclair. I'm that streaming idiot. It was so good to be with you today and to have you there, especially you guys in the chat room. I really appreciate that support. Look forward to seeing you again next week when we talk about, I don't know yet. Anyway, it'll be a lot of fun, whatever it is, I'm sure. Thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing you again next time.